listening to the Buddha. For this evening, I brought something along with me. Where is it? Here. I brought Rahula along as a support for Dhamma sharing, so we will take turns. And it will be good for all of us. And I wanted to start out a little bit by something that came up today in our sharing, where we went around to the 7 stations, and our guide was so kind to introduce us to the meaning and significance of each of those places. And I noticed that there were a few places where the Buddha, even after his awakening, he was staying back and also paying homage to different things that we can find there, particularly the Bodhi tree and these places of significance. And I found it quite interesting, and I had a faint memory of one sutta that relates to this same topic, about who the Buddha pays homage to. Because the Buddha is a very special person and is highly attained, cannot be any higher attained. And actually the Buddha himself faced a small dilemma in this regard. And so I looked up and found the sutta. We find it in Anguttara Nikaya. It's not in your chanting book. So this is like a spontaneous discourse. So I would like to explore it together for all of us. No need. We already pay homage to the Buddha by doing what? By practicing the Dhamma, listening the Dhamma. This is the highest homage that we can pay. It's okay, we can go straight into the details. You can see already I'm not very ritualistic, right? Some monks like to keep everything very formal, very... So up here in SBS, Bhante actually often speaks out against rituals. And those of you who know Bhante a bit closer, even if you want to ask him to take the precepts together, he will say, okay, go. You can do it on your own, you know. He will not guide you through the precepts. Say, okay, Namo Tassa, do. Panatipata. So we follow in the footsteps, not just of the Sammasambuddha, but also of Sammasam Akajita. Okay. All right. So let's listen to what the Sammasambuddha in this case had to say. Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Force, discourse number 21. It's called Uruvela. Uruvela, we have not been yet, right? But I hope at some point we will visit Uruvela. When is it? Maybe the day after tomorrow? Ah, wonderful. The sutta starts out by saying, thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Chetas Grove, Anathapindika's park. Remember Anathapindika's park, Chetas Grove? Very nice. You see, now we read the suttas, and now the place has meaning. It's not just words anymore. Anathapindika's park, Chetas Grove. Now an image comes up in the mind. Oh, that's where he was staying, I see. There the Blessed One addressed the bhikkhus. Bhikkhus, they replied, Venerable Sir. Then the Blessed One said this. Bhikkhus, on one occasion I was dwelling at Uruvela by the goat herds banyan tree. By the goat herds banyan tree. I don't know if the tree is still around or not. At the bank of the Naranjara river, just after I had attained full enlightenment. So it was soon after his awakening, he went there. Then, while I was alone in seclusion, a course of thought arose in my mind thus. So he was staying in seclusion, and then a certain reflection came to his mind. It is painful, dukkha, it is painful to dwell without reverence and deference. Now, what ascetic or brahmin can I honor, respect, and dwell in dependence on? So in the ancient tradition, among the samanas, they were living usually with a teacher, whom they honor, pay respects, do some services for them. So the Buddha was reflecting, it would not be good not to have anyone to pay homage to. Whom can I pay homage to? He was thinking about. Then it occurred to me, if my aggregate of virtuous behavior were incomplete, his sila, if his own sila were incomplete, for the sake of completing it, I would honor, respect, and dwell in dependence on another ascetic or brahmin. Yeah? So if he would not be perfected in his own sila, then it would be befitting for him to take another teacher, guide, ascetic as his teacher. I would dwell in dependence on another ascetic or Brahmin. However, in this world, in the whole world, with its devas, Mara and Brahma, among this population, with its ascetics and Brahmins, its devas and humans, I do not see another ascetic or Brahmin more accomplished in virtuous behavior than myself, whom I could honor, respect, and dwell in dependence on. So the Buddha surveys the world and notices, actually there's nobody that surpasses him in virtue, whom he could pay homage to on account of that, or take as his teacher or guide. No? So it wouldn't work with virtue, right? Obviously the Buddha's sila is purified, and so it wouldn't make sense that he goes now to another teacher and says, can you please teach me the 5 precepts, or something like that. Yeah, would be strange. Then he contemplates further. If my aggregate of concentration, if my ability, my faculty of concentration were incomplete, for the sake of completing it, I would honor, respect, and dwell in dependence on another ascetic or Brahmin. However, I don't see anyone among the devas, humans, Brahmas, and Mara who would surpass him when it comes to concentration, to samadhi. So, still nobody to be found. And then the same about wisdom. Let me see. Yeah, same about wisdom. And then finally, if my aggregate of liberation were incomplete, so if you were maybe only partially liberated, not completely, then he would seek somebody out and honor, pay respect to that person, and seek him out as his teacher and live in dependence on that person. However, again, in this world with its devas and maras, I do not see anyone who would be more accomplished than myself, whom I could honor, respect, and dwell in dependence on. So, the dilemma, right? At the beginning, remember, he said, it's dukkha, it's painful, it's not proper, not to live in dependence and not to honor anyone or anything. Then it occurs to him, let me then honor and respect and dwell in dependence only on this Dhamma to which I have become fully enlightened. You see, even a Buddha finds something to pay respect to. It's the Dhamma itself. It's the path to liberation that even a Buddha venerates, appreciates, and worships. Maybe worship is not completely the right word, but in a sense, yes, he has this appreciation and respect towards the Dhamma that leads to liberation. So that was the Buddha's reflection. And then, as it comes, then Brahma Sahampati, having known with his own mind the reflection in my mind, he disappeared from the Brahma world and reappeared before me, just as a strong man might extend his drawn-in arm and draw in his extended arm. So this is like a typical simile in the suttas. In other words, very fast. So immediately Mahabrahma appeared in front of the Buddha when the Buddha had finished this kind of contemplation about taking the Dhamma as his, you can almost say as his refuge. Something to be respecting and honoring. So then Mahabrahma arranged his robe over one shoulder, bent down with his right knee on the ground, and saluted me and said, "So it is, Blessed One, so it is. Bhante, those who were the Arahants, the perfectly enlightened ones in the past, those Buddhas, those Blessed Ones, they do honored, respected, and dwelt in dependence only on the Dhamma. And those who will be Arahants in the future will also do the same. Let the Blessed One do, who is at present the Arahant, the Sammasambuddha, let him also honor, respect, and dwell in dependence only on the Dhamma." This is what the Mahabrahma said, and then he disappeared again. And then the sutta gives some verses summarizing the same thing. And then the sutta concludes by saying, this was what Mahabrahma said. Then he paid homage to him and disappeared. Then, having acknowledged Brahma's request and what was proper for myself, I honored, the Buddha says about himself, I honored, respected, and dwell in dependence only on the Dhamma to which I had become fully enlightened. And now the last part is also interesting, and now that the Sangha has acquired greatness, I have respect for the Sangha too. So the Buddha himself honors the Dhamma and the Sangha. So because the Sangha also is stepping in the footsteps, they are practicing the Dhamma properly, and they too have become Aryas. So that even the Buddha appreciates and honors. So quite interesting. So here we can see what are the kind of things that the Sammasambuddha honors. So he cannot take refuge to another teacher, obviously. And I was reminded of this sutta today when we were visiting those places. Because what the folk story goes is then the Buddha was then meditating somewhere in the distance and then paying homage to the Bodhi tree. And somehow I was scratching my head. Can it really be that the Sammasambuddha worships a tree? Is this befitting for a Sammasambuddha? I know it kind of makes sense in one way. It's the tree under which he became awakened. But really to venerate a tree, it seems beyond a Buddha. Or you can say maybe too low in a certain way. It's just a tree, you know. He cannot even take refuge to any of the other sages and people and wise people that existed at the time. A tree is just a tree, you know. In the Buddhist teachings, it's not a wise being or anything. So for a Buddha to worship a tree almost feels almost like sila pata paramasa, attachment to rules and rituals. So I somehow had some doubts about that. So that's why I was looking up at the sutta, and I think the sutta highlights or questions, puts in the question that the Buddha would not necessarily worship a tree. Yes?
But the what we call venerate the tree, is it from the sutta or from the commentary?
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not from the sutta. That's why I say the sutta would be quite in tension with the sutta that we are speaking here. It was our tour guide who mentioned, and I don't think he made it up on his own, of course. So this is kind of common, conventional truth, you can say, that you will often hear on pilgrimage. So one of the spices that have been added to the original teachings. And so yeah, the Buddha was sitting in that area, but it does, even if he was facing the tree, that can still be correct, but not in a sense of honoring or paying respect. So facing the tree, having good memories, having sat there, having attained awakening, yeah, that makes sense to me. No issue with that. But to really honor, respect, or bow to the tree, I cannot imagine the Buddha doing that. Right? It wouldn't make sense. The tree is not higher in virtue than the Buddha, is he? It's not higher in concentration, not higher in wisdom, not higher in liberation. So for that reason, it's also important for us, also when we pay respect to someone or something, to know what are the things that are worthy of honor, worthy of respect. And nowadays, even modern society, we can ask ourselves, what is our society honoring and worshipping? Is it really things of value, so something like that has high virtue or meaning or wisdom? Actually, it seems our societies nowadays, they value and honor quite different things, right? What is it? Money, the phone, football players, movie stars, right? These are the kind of idols that many people nowadays might have. And maybe even at the Buddha's time. Yeah, the names have changed, but even at that time they had their local heroes probably. But the Buddha would say, well, that is not the best person necessarily to honor, but a person of virtue, of concentration, wisdom, or on the path to liberation. Yeah, these are qualities that we honor. And not just the quality in other people, they can also inspire us to do the same, isn't it? Because reflecting on the Buddha and his qualities is also a reminder, it can be done. The Buddha was a human being, just like all of us. The early Arahants, they were human beings. And if you ever read the Theragatha, for example, or Therigatha, you can see that even these ancient monks and nuns, they had their struggles, They didn't necessarily have it easy and just hear the Dhamma and all become arahants. There's one monk in the Dharagata, he says, for the last 10 years, I didn't have a peaceful moment, not even for a finger snap. And it was just struggle from beginning to the end. But he kept practicing and kept to it, and eventually he became an arahant. But he suffered and struggled for 10 years, So, but through consistency, practice, dedication, slowly, the mind became purified. So you can see, even those ancient arahants didn't all have it easy. Just listen to a Dhamma talk and get liberated. So I find it actually very inspiring to hear also of these examples of people who did have to struggle and did not have it easy. They also had their monkey mind and Stossendorfer and the whole package, So I find that sometimes even more example than when people put the Buddha so high on a pedestal, like it almost doesn't seem like a human being anymore, right? With his golden skin and the dirt never sticks on his skin, and he was 3 times the size of a normal being. So often the commentaries, they make the Buddha appear almost like a superhuman, like Superman flying there with one hand. And yeah, and on one side, it's probably coming from a sense of wanting to elevate and wanting to praise the Buddha. But on the other side, it loses a little bit his humanness. And thereby, I can actually much less relate to that version of the Buddha than somebody who had his struggles, who had his difficulties, who had defilements. This one we can relate to, right? So, in a sense, it's more inspiring to see a Buddha getting sick, having stomachache, having back pain. This is somebody like us. You can imagine the person. So I wanted to bring that particularly today to your attention, especially to highlight what is worthy of veneration, worthy of respect, what are the qualities to look for, and then also to be careful that we don't fall into idol worship of stones and relics or amulets. All these things are quite popular nowadays in the Buddhist traditions, but these are actually not the things that are worthy of honoring. Even in Buddhist countries, many monks will sell you or give you an amulet, right? Or a mini pagoda, or a tooth relic, or a hair relic. It's not the essence. And the Buddha was quite picky, it seems, with what he finds worthy of respect. So it's a really good reminder, also for us, I think. Okay? So I leave you with that, and would like also to invite Asma Rahula to share something, maybe even related to one of the suttas we have in the Dhammapada, or whatever comes to his mind. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and also coming with Bhante. Well, you can imagine how special it is, this trip for us monks. We have given literally our lives to this path, so you can imagine how much we love, or how much courage needed to be developed in order to say, yes, I will dedicate all the time, and let go of dinners, let go of traveling, let go of girlfriend, wife, and all that it entails. So you can imagine entertainments, etc., etc. So I recall you, I invite you to take a look, and I want to share this. I do it because I want to share. Imagine how do we feel being in the place where the teacher of all our teachers walked, and where he taught, and knowing the stories, and now listening. So from there is where the appreciation and joy arises. And I'm very happy that we are doing it together as a family. With all your support, this couldn't have been possible for all of us. And a few days ago, Bhante, we had a meeting. We have Sangha meeting constantly. So we touch base as monk, how is it going? So we had it a few days ago. And Bhante, as we do in SBS, he asked all of us, like, how do you feel? And how is it going like this? So each of the monks we were saying, what do we feel? And the word gratitude and appreciation came a lot. And then you also, all of you, and your support came a lot. And what I shared is, I was saying, putting the two ideas together, how we feel about being in these places and the conditions that we are traveling in, all of us, with such a places, with such a food and all the conditions, even in a country that it is quite difficult, as you can see, it's quite intense. And I describe it as chaos in movement. It's like a moving chaos. It's not a kind of chaos that stops and chaos and it gets... I don't know how it is chaotic, but it still moves. So you saw the buses so close, moving this way and the other one, and they haven't touched any, and the cars are coming and the cows. So all this, in between all this chaos, to have these conditions, I am very, very, very grateful. And I was telling to Bhante when it was my time to share, that I really feel, honestly, like I was wondering, what did I did so good to deserve this, I feel this trip like a prize, like an award, but that only happens when you do something really good. So maybe it was not us, or not any of us, but maybe the ones we were before, that those people, gentlemen or male or female, might have done something very good. So from that, this is the joy to hear the Dhamma, to explore it, and now to be invited to share, to speak about the Dhamma in these very places. A few kilometers from here, the Buddha got enlightened. Well, it is. I don't know how to put it in words, but you can imagine. Just before coming in, Bhante came to knock in my room. We are just beside, so he came knock. And I just closed the Dhamma talk for Latin American community. So every Sunday, since 6 years ago, every Sunday we have a Dhamma sharing and give the precepts and things. So I was telling them what was happening. So very happy about all this, sharing this joy. And to be talking now about the Buddha's words in these places is like a dream for me. So we were looking at one Dhammapada verse that I would like to explore together. If you want to read it, if you have your chanting book at hand, it's page 38. It's the Dhammapada verse 153. And I won't go into the Pali because we don't have much time today, but I will go directly into the English and celebrate. This is the moment when the Buddha just got enlightened, and then, let's see what happened after he got enlightened. I'm sure many of you have listened to it already. So, the Buddha said in this verse, after just getting enlightened, through many a life in samsara have I wandered and seeking, but not finding the house builder, the architect. Suffering indeed is life again and again. Born in again, getting old again, dying again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And all the suffering that we know, the loss, the aging, the aches, the physical pain and the mental pain, the Buddha is saying that he has been looking for many lives in samsara, in the cycle of birth and death, the rebirth and death, the cycle of that we are in, and he has been wondering and seeking for who is making this house. What house he's talking about? This house that you are in. So a house that we cannot go out, even if we try. There is no door. Well, yeah, there is a door, but apparently, how to go out of you? How to go out of this house? How to go out of this mind, ne? Can somebody jump so high that suddenly you go out? I have tried it. It was not possible. So, who is making this house? How did this house came to be? This one. This house, as any house, need maintenance. We need to clean it every day. It gets dusty. We need to clean it. We need to feed it every day. We need to take care, take medicine for it to be well. So just by maintaining, it is a kind of a hassle, isn't it? Especially as we get older. That in general, in this group, we are are getting there, all of us together. So as we get older, it gets more challenging to take care of this house. So indeed, sometimes it's a little bit troublesome. As the Buddha says, it's indeed life again and again. It's suffering. So that is for I was referring to the body right now. But now for the mind. This house, we can also not go out. This house, the good news is that it is borrowed. It is just borrowed for a little while. The biggest problem comes, I have felt it in my own experience, when we consider something mine. For example, I have a phone. And then my friend has the same phone. And then if his phone falls down and breaks the screen, I say, how silly you are. Those phones are so expensive, isn't it? But then I have the same phone, and suddenly this one falls down. And it's the same experience. Would I say the same? Oh, how silly I am. This phone, I don't think we'll say, So the phone is the same, the same brand, the same model and thing. What was the thing that changed between his phone and my phone, isn't it? So when we make this house proper, our property, then generally the problem comes. Now, does the body knows that the body belongs to itself? No, the body doesn't know. So who is the owner? Generally, we ask, it's the mind, isn't it, the owner? So where does the problem comes about? Where does the suffering come about? And yes, the life is the Buddha is talking about this house builder. Who made this house? Who? He was wandering for lives, looking in samsara. Who is making you? Who is making this body? Who is making this mind? The house that we cannot buy now. Be free from. And I say, buy now. Then the Buddha continues saying, oh, house builder, you have been seen. That was the moment when he recognizes, oh, architect, you have been seen. Never shall you build another house again, anymore. All your rafters are broken, and the rooftop is destroyed. All the beams are broken, and the roof is destroyed. The teachers speak about 3 beams especially: lobha, dosa, and moha. Desire and attachment, anger and ignorance. These are the beams that are used by the house builder. Whoever that house builder is using this kind of materials. So, if we destroy the materials that the house is made from, no more house can come back again. And then the Buddha continues saying, after saying the rooftop is destroyed, gone to the unconditioned is the mind, attained to the destruction of cravings. He says, gone to the unconditioned is the mind. There are things that are conditioned. Our body and physical health is conditioned. When the conditions change, as we have seen, some of us in the group has get a little bit sick. The conditions change. The body, the house is the same. Only the conditions, the food, the climate, the quality of the air might have changed, or some contact with some agent, and then that's why sickness arose. So our body, in order to be healthy, requires many conditions that we have good food, that we have good weather, that we are covered, or etc., etc. And then the Buddha mentions, gone to the unconditioned. If there is some condition, that means that there is something that might be unconditioned. Does it make sense? Make sense? Yeah, if there is some condition, could there be something that is not conditioned? Well, to that unconditioned state is what is referred as to liberation or nibbana, the unconditioned, the asankata, the non-created, the non-conditioned, something that is free from, which, as a good news, we all have access. The only thing is that I see it like a radio is picking up the radio station of the world. We are worried about worldly things, about business and family and how do I look, what to do and all this. So our antenna is on the world, is on the conditioned, so that's what it is. But if we are able to go beyond, stabilize the mind, purify our morality, the mind, this very mind that we carry, can change the frequency to a higher frequency, let's say, a more noble frequency, more wholesome frequency, and suddenly, at some point, when the conditions in the world and for the mind are ready, suddenly the mind goes beyond the world. And this is what we are celebrating in this place. This is what we came here to Bodhgaya, to celebrate that moment when the Buddha, after he spoke this, right, when he said this, the moment when he jumped from having a worldly mind, as I put myself in front of the line, if you wish, as all of us have, thinking about worldly stuff, the body, what we wear, what we eat, what we're gonna do, family, businesses, etc., things on the world. When the mind changes lineage, the teacher says, and then it focuses on something that is beyond the world. The good news is, and something that we can celebrate in ourselves, as Bhante was saying right now, not putting the Buddha, if we put the Buddha so far and so high, then the possibilities for liberation are in the same distance. But if we start bringing the Buddha, with all respect, it doesn't mean that we will diminish his qualities. He was pure in ethical behavior, pure and stable in mind, and pure in wisdom. Yes, but he was a human being, same like us. And as we saw a few days ago, the Buddha died because of indigestion. Don't worry. But yes, he was a human, same as you and I. But that, I think, brings the more hope. Because that means that a human, same as us, is able, let's speak about us, we are able, through constant taking care of the mind and purifying the mind, to be able to see beyond the world and be liberated from this house builder and from the suffering that having a body or having a mind may bring. So, I was wondering a few days, how many sacred places did the Buddha say that we should visit at some point in our life? 4, isn't it? So then we went already to 3. We went to the birth of the Buddha, and then which one other we went? The place where the Buddha passed away, and yesterday we arrived in the place where the Buddha got enlightened, isn't it? And then we only have one last one from the main 4 that we will visit when he started teaching. All of them are very important, isn't it? For a Buddha to born, wonderful that our teacher comes and teaches how to purify the mind and how to go through the world, make our life more beautiful, more harmonious with our family and our co-workers, whatever we are doing in our life, until we reach to the final liberation. So great that he born. But I was wondering, have you seen that this temple is the biggest of all? You remember where the Buddha died or where the Buddha born? Yes, there are some stupas, but they're not as big as this one. And there are not so many people, and there is not so much celebration and flowers. Why? Why is this one apparently, looks from the outside, more important than the other ones? I was wondering. And this fact that we all have the possibility to liberate ourselves, and the liberation of the Buddha that is being celebrated here, and the closeness, you and I can do this. By taking care of our morality, we know that many of us have been in the Dhamma for many years. We know what is to be done. Take care of our morality, balance the mind with meditation, and make peace with life through wisdom. Accept life as it is, and choose for our own good and for others. I think what is so appealing to so many people is to come and celebrate that all of us have this potential. So I will ask for a few moments for all of us, just to recollect, you and I, monk or lay practitioner, we have this possibility. We are able to know what our mind is thinking and be able to know if it is good or bad. We don't need to invent. The Buddha already explained very clearly what is doing bad and what is doing good. Once we see with some degree of awareness, then we can start making a change. If the mind wants to insult, we abstain. If the mind wants to harm, sometimes the mind has the urge to do so, by voice or even by hand, then we abstain. And all the other moral trainings that we have. And beyond our morality, then we have the opportunity to balance the mind. Just to teach and train the mind to listen. Just that. Not to stop it. The mind cannot stop. The work of the mind is to digest information. Same as the stomach digests food, we cannot stop it. Stop. Don't digest. Stop. Stop. Even if we want to know, when the food arrives to the stomach will divide things. Proteins, vitamins, to start dividing things and then sending them wherever they need. The mind, one teacher told me before, and I said, wow, very nice example. It's the same. The mind, my teacher told me, oh, I should have told you that way. He said, the mind is like your stomach. And I was like, what? And he said, yes, the mind digests. The only thing is the mind digests whatever it comes into contact with, information. The sounds that we get, then the mind digests them. The sights that we get, then the mind, the thoughts that the mind gets, it digests all this. So by knowing how it works, we can start shaping it and bringing it to a place that is more wholesome, that plants better seeds for our own good and for our family, and eventually, slowly, and hopefully, falling in love with goodness. And that will be an invitation I would like to do. As in the name of all the monks, in the name of all the Sangha, I really hope that all of us soon fall in love with doing good. It is beautiful for us, it is beautiful for the person who receives our goodness, isn't it? Immediately. So may we all fall in love with this, see the benefit, so the mind is inspired to do more and more, and each time it's just going more pure, more stable, more pure, more wise. So, what we are celebrating here, my dear family, and I'm very happy to have this joy, is our potential for cultivation, for mental stability, and for purifying our mind. Very often, you know the Four Noble Truths, no? We very often, as Buddhists, have you ever have a chat with a friend that is not Buddhist, and they come and tell you, I have had many of those, that, oh, Buddhism is very, very, very pessimistic, very negative. Somebody who has had that comment before, raise your hand. Somebody came or your family, oh, why are you following this? Buddhism is very pessimistic, only thinking on suffering. You're gonna die. You're gonna get old. You're gonna get sick. Isn't it? Many people say, oh, Buddhism seems like very pessimistic. Yes, because even, I will say, as monks or people who share the Dhamma, there are Four Noble Truths, isn't it? Generally, the emphasis, I don't know, let me know, it's my point of view, ne? Generally, I heard even when I got in touch with Buddhism, it was only the first two Noble Truths were constantly taught. There is suffering, and suffering has a cause. There is suffering, and suffering has a cause. Yes, if I only think about this, I eventually get depressed. What kind of practice are we doing, isn't it? But we need to remind, this will be the reminder of today, we need to remember that actually there are Four Noble Truths. And the third Noble Truth is actually, I call it hope. I mean, suffering can stop. Enlightenment, or the purity of mind, awakening, is possible for you and me. What can there be more hopeful than that? If we only focus on the first two Noble Truths, yes, it sounds very grim and depressive, but we need, and I will urge all of us, whenever we share about the Dhamma and somebody asks, focus on these last two Noble Truths, which is suffering can stop. It is possible for you and I, through constant cultivation, attention, and goodness, to free our minds from suffering. Enlightenment exists. Nibbana exists. There have been teachers who have done it in the past. There are people who have done it in the present, people alive. So we have seen with some teachers. And the fourth Noble Truth is not just that it is possible and we are left to our own means. It is the map There's somebody tell us that it's possible to be free from all this, but there is a way to do so. As we all know, the Noble Eightfold Path, purifying our morality, we know, purifying our mental states and mental stability, making our mind strong and clear, so then wisdom can happen. So I don't see, I see a lot of hope. Do we? Do we see this hope? Well, my dear family, it's something that I would like to invite all of us for our own practice. Let not just focus on suffering. Yes, we need to acknowledge and make peace with it, because that will be the thing that will push us. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, but let's move away. Let's do something about this. Good. Let suffering be our fuel instead of being our enemy. Let's make it our ally. How to make suffering our ally? Very simple trick. Next time we find ourselves suffering, turn on the alarm. The mind got hooked somewhere. The mind is either angry. There are no more things that make the mind suffer. Either anger, pushing things away, or attachment, or ignorance. But ignorance is invisible. That's why it's so dangerous as an enemy. Because how can I know what I don't know? Isn't it? It's like, how do I know what I don't know? It's very difficult. But yes, identification with the self, this is one of the ways to kind of grab it. Every time I say I, me, or mine, for sure ignorance is already taking anatta, isn't it? Like, it's already taking something. But that, okay, ignorance often is invisible. It's the biggest enemy. But there are the other two that are very foolish. They don't know how to hide themselves. Anger. Do you recognize when you're angry? Do you feel when you're angry? Of course we feel when we are angry. It's immediate. We feel it in the body. We feel it on the face. We feel it in the temperature. We feel it in so many signs. Oh, you're getting angry. The body says, you're getting angry. You're getting angry. Cool down, cool down. The heartbeat is tuk, 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 isn't it? Or the voice starts from speaking very nice. Oh, hello, how are you? Oh, nice. Isn't it? Like immediately the voice change, the volume change. There are so many signs. Anger is very silly, actually. And actually, when we are angry, and I put myself, if you wish, in the front of the line, we act very silly, isn't it? I think the worst things that we have ever said in our lives, I think we said them when we were angry. Do you agree? Isn't it? The worst thing that I have ever said, it was when I was angry. So we need to catch that one. And then desire is in between ignorance and anger. Anger is the most anger. I don't know what word would you put to this? How you put? I don't know, but anger is like doesn't like. Desire is more tricky. Because desire, when somebody desires something, what do they do to somebody? They start coming, oh, you're very good, oh, no, isn't it? Starts trying to convince, or desire does something else. When somebody wants something, it starts seducing, isn't it? That's the work of desire. And you know what is the worst problem of desire? Is that desire, we like it. Who here likes to get angry? Raise your hand. Somebody, for the second time, do TMP. Who in this room likes to get angry? Raise your hand. TMP. I don't know, you get it now. Enough. None of us likes to be angry, isn't it? It feels bad. It poisons the environment. It poisons our family. It can break a relation of years that we work to maintain. It can break it in a second. In some bad phase or bad word that it can be said, it can be broken. Sometimes forever, ne? Silly, dangerous fire. More dangerous even, desire. Why? Because we like it. Raise your hand. Who, when experiencing desire, is liking it or wanting it? Raise your hand. Everybody, ne? Everybody. That's why this enemy is so dangerous. And that's why the Buddha put it as the source, or one of the ones that we need to be more careful. The second noble truth, isn't it? Is attachment and desire together with ignorance. Ne? Ignorance is always in the back. And anger as a how to say, as a side effect of desire. How does anger arises? I want something. I want people, for example, to treat me nice and to everything good. Isn't it? And then when somebody comes and talk to you not as you don't like it, we generally tend to get angry, isn't it? It is not so much that how the people spoke to us that made us angry. It was the expectation for that people to treat me kind or nice or respectful, and when that person didn't do it, then anger arose. So actually, most of the time, you make your own account, or with the abacus, like Chinese medicine. But if as you make your own, most of the time when we get angry, it was because we had some expectation. We wanted something, and that thing didn't happen. Or that thing that we wanted, for example, I wanted this very much, and it got stolen or it got broken. Isn't it? So, desire is always, sometimes I ask my teacher, Bhante, but I suffer a lot with anger. Why did the Buddha didn't spoke in the second noble truth, the cause of suffering is anger. I suffer a lot because of anger. And that's the explanation. Yes, actually, anger is just a side effect of the desires and expectations that we have. So, my dear family, what to do? We all have this sickness already. The sickness is in the mind. We all have, and I put myself, as a family. There is still anger going on. There is still desire going on. But talking about the last two noble truths, and what a best place to speak about what the Buddha found in this place a few meters from here, or kilometers from here, was this triumph. To be able to see this, that it is you and it is me. The Four Noble Truths, as Bhante said right now, if we put the Buddha far, we put the Dhamma far. But the Dhamma is not outside. The Dhamma is you. The Dhamma is me. What the Buddha was referring as wholesome, unwholesome, things that bring us peace or things that bring us suffering, we are that already. We are experiencing here already. So let's take a little moment to bring close the Dhamma closer to us, to our own experience here on this body, in this mind. This is where the Dhamma, either suffering or the absence of suffering, is happening. It has happened all this life, and it is not out there in the tree. It is not out there in the temple. The tree and the temple are only reminders of our potential and the method how to be free. If we see only the stone, it's gonna be only stone. But if we see the teaching behind, the meaning, and what does it mean here? Oh, my dear family, this trip is gonna be really fruitful. So we still have almost like half of the journey. We are now on the half of the journey. I will invite you. I already raised 2 or 3 invitations today. The first invitation, I hope we all fall in love with goodness. The sooner, the better. So the mind, we don't need to push our mind. Be mindful, meditate, do good, be generous. The mind already likes it. The mind already saw the benefit of it. It will do it automatically. Second invitation was, let's not just focus on the negative aspects of the teaching. We can get discouraged. We can get even depressed. Yeah? Let's focus on the hope. It is possible for you and me, as human beings, mother, father, brother or sister, son, whatever, or daughter, it's possible for us to free this mind, the one that is understanding these words, the one that you have done everything in your life, this one. We are the Dhamma. Dhamma means also nature, phenomena. It can be positive or negative. We have both. I really wish that we focus on the positive sides. And no need to search far. We have a very clear method. Noble Eightfold Path, taking care of the morality, stabilizing the mind, making peace with life, as I like to call it. Generating wisdom and acceptance. So, when life comes, whatever comes, we are ready. Just as in the morning, Brother Yen can tell you, oh, tomorrow you will be in the morning at such and such time. Yeah, ready. My suitcase is there. May all be inside, ready to whatever comes. Lost, no problem. I know it's natural. Age, I no problem. I know it's natural. I already saw it. Ne? We have a wonderful opportunity, still a few more days. And the question, please keep it in the mind. It has helped me for decades already. My teacher told me, always when you hear something on the teaching, even if you don't understand it, ask the following question. What does teaching means here? What does that thing, what the Buddha said, means here? How can I see it? How can I experience it? The instructions are clear. We still have many more days, and also Bhante made another invitation, to see beyond the rituals, to see what is the teaching, why did the Buddha did that. So, my dear family, it's a pleasure to be here. The conditions are wonderful. It's a once in a lifetime, hopefully not, but yes, it is wonderful what we are doing, everything is flowing. And thank you so much for taking care of us, the monks, in the way you are doing it. And I was thinking today, we are receiving 5-star treatment. We need to offer 5-star behavior. So, your kindness is making us better monks. I hope all my brothers, and I will share with them, if it is not clear, but your kindness and respect is helping us to practice better. So, much appreciation. We also love the Sangha so much that we gave our lives for it. So imagine, the love is like, who here has children? Raise your hand. Who here has children? Wow, a lot, yes. So imagine that somebody comes and treats your children kindly. How do you feel as a mother? How do you feel as a father? Wow, somebody came and gave something. I can see your faces right now. Immediately, bling, the face come like this. Yeah? How would you feel? Well, when we see you treating the Sangha in the way you do, with the respect, how do you think we feel? We also love that. We have taken refuge in it, so I want to thank you from the heart. Thank you very much for all of this, and we still have days. I really wish, and I would say in the name of all my brothers, that we really wish that we get a lot of fruits in wisdom, in inspiration. Sadha is present. We are very fortunate. Mm-hmm. So let's continue. We still the adventure continues, as I like to say. Anyway, from my side, that's all. I hope some of these explorations are useful, inspiring, and give us direction, and may we continue walking on this path. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for the entertaining, lively presentation of the Buddha's teachings. It's always a pleasure witnessing Rahula sharing the Dhamma. And as Venerable just said, also many fruits are on offer here, not just on the breakfast table, but if you practice properly, we might also at some point experience the fruits of stream entry, one's return, non-return, and arahantship. So these are the fruits, that's the plate that really counts when it comes to the Dhamma practice, isn't it? And I think it's all within our potential, just as Venerable once said. And remember, the Buddha himself, actually the Bodhisattva, before his awakening, when he was meeting these teachers, what were their names? Alarakalama, Udakarama Buddha. He went to them and didn't know the teachings yet. Yet he said, this Alarakalama, he has faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. I do have those qualities. I don't yet know their teaching, but I can develop it. So he had a certain degree of confidence. It can be done. It has been done by somebody else, therefore I can also, right? Well, I'm also a human being, and 2 hands, 2 legs, a head on top. You're not lacking any faculties either, right? So we have what it takes. We just have to put our qualities to good use. So again, an invitation for all of us to practice together, practice the Dhamma, practice our sila, develop mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. Naturally, the result will be liberation at some point. So, both of us, we offer this for your reflections, and see you again, all of you, tomorrow morning. Let us also use this opportunity to share merits with our departed relatives and friends. Today, no questions, because Enkyong said we only have 60 minutes. Because tomorrow you want to get up early in the morning to make it to Mahapodhi in the early morning again. So we keep it at that for today. And share merits with all our departed relatives, friends, beings far and near, the seen and the unseen, large or small. May all beings be at ease. Let us recite together. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyadayo. Idang no nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyadayo. Idang vo nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyadayo. Ettavata ca amhihi Sampadang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. And let us also make an aspiration that the good karma will also help us on the path, not only to avoid the twin miracle of India, but also that the good karma will support us on the path to liberation towards Nibbana. Please repeat after me. Idang me punyang asavakkhaya bahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbanasa paccayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.